So you said like you practice like auditing. Have you ever tried that before? You say
Sorry. Sorry. There's a internet connectivity skip. I didn't quite get your question.
oh, I said auditing.
Sure.
Have you tried it before, and how did it like positively affect you?
So yes, I have, and I don't know how familiar you are with the actual content of what auditing is and what goes on in an auditing session and so forth. But
I I've read I've read like how you like there's levels to it, right? Like each level you level up kind of, and
it's well,
some
to a degree, and this is something where I think that the oversimplifying of the internet can sometimes kind of lead people astray because people assume it's like a like a video game progression, like, oh, I reached level 4,
Mhm.
yay, now I'm that much closer to saving the princess, sort of a thing. It's kind of, yes, they are arranged in a graduated set. It's mostly because they're kind of they're a gradient that needs to be there for obvious reasons. And as soon as you get into what each one of these levels is attempting to handle, you see why they have to be arranged in a gradient. For example, the first thing that anybody does, even before they're doing any auditing, is something called the purification rundown. It's where you
Mhm.
remove toxins out of the body, things that would make it really difficult for you to sit down and and introspect a bit and look at yourself and look at things. If you got somebody who has just been a chronic alcoholic or has been smoking pot for the last 10 years or something like that, they're going to have a really rough time
Mhm.
in any kind of a counseling session. So that's the first step.
So
Kind of,
sorry to cut off.
yeah, go for it.
Sorry to cut you, but so during that period when you're admitting your wrongdoings to
Mhm.
someone, is that someone like in the church like above like that has an authority, and are these meetings recorded for I don't know, just like evidence? I'm not sure like how to say it, but like is
So
it like
okay, so it's there is a subset of auditing which is designed to allow you to take responsibility for wrongdoings, and
Mhm.
that is a subset. That's a an extremely small portion of things, but there is. But the entirety of what goes on in an auditing session is confidential, and there's a reason there's a reason you haven't seen auditing sessions all over the internet, is because
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of work that goes into making sure that those stay confidential. They're not they're sometimes recorded. The recordings are only done really for auditing quality purposes.
Mhm.
There are technical staff that are there to basically make sure that people are doing it right, and to correct anything that goes wrong in terms of you're supposed to handle this certain thing in this certain way. You didn't. Let's correct where you went off the rails so that you can do it better the next time. But for the most part, I think that only represents a really small fraction of times where auditing is recorded, and those, as far as I know, are all throwaway. There's an archived or anything like that. The archival, the actual source of truth of what happens in a auditing session, those are written
Mhm.
down in a person's folders. They're actually handwritten. The auditor's sitting there listening to what you have to say and writing down the pertinent elements. And those go, and they go sealed up in a folder. It's called a pre-clear folder or a PC folder, and that's all pre-spenned and privileged. It's not able to be looked at by anybody but technical staff. Like random staff members in the org even are not allowed to look at people's PC folders. It's only specific technical staff that are allowed to do that.
So I understand there are tools being that are used such as like emirs, correct?
Correct.
And can you explain like why these are being used and like how it's used and
Well,
the
sure.
felt?
So take this. So like I said, there's so in auditing, there's various levels or grades that are designed to handle a certain thing. These are, like I said, arranged in a sequence. They take up different subject matter. Like one of them takes up communication, another one takes up problems. Why does a person need to have problems? Like, you got people who always seem to be problematic. Everything's a big problem. You try to solve their problems
Yeah.
for them, and they're like, it's still a big problem. Stuff like that. Like, why does somebody require having problems all the time. People's integrity and honesty, that's another one that's taken up. People's past upsets and so forth, and an inability to like actually just get out of an upset and start creating things for the future. These are different subject matter that are taken up. So if you were to just sit down, and this is something that was a development over time while Scientology was being developed, and which was you've got subject matter that you're trying to take up, and you sit down. You're like, oh, good. I'm gonna take this up with this person who's sitting in front of me. You don't necessarily, and the guy is just going to start talking. You don't know what are the things that are seriously like the guy's really super wound up about, or stuff that he's just going to ramble on and on about and beat around the bush and actually not take up the thing that's really upsetting him. Like maybe he's
Mhm.
had people die in his life and it doesn't actually bug him. Like he's over it. And maybe the thing that he's not over is, when his son got divorced and he thought he's now a failure or something. I don't know. Like it's you want to handle the things that the person's wound up about. You don't want to handle all the other random things that you could possibly take up. And that's what the e-meter is there for. It's there for the auditor to be able to direct and guide the session so that you can get the product at the end of it, which is if the guy, let's just say you're handling upsets, you want to handle the upsets that are actually really bugging the person. And there's phenomena that the person's looking at on the meter that let the person know that either A, this is heavily like charged, or this is not something that needs to be handled anymore. The person feels good about it.
Super. So after this stage of like almost like a confession, like explaining your problems, how is it affecting you, and cleaning yourself basically. What happens after this? Like what's involved in the levels while you go up?
So each one of these pieces of these gradations of auditing, they have a specific end phenomena, and you either have it or you don't. Like one of these ones, and I keep looking up here because I've got a one of these bridges here sitting on my wall,
Mm-hmm.
which you can easily get a copy of. But so each one of these has specific end phenomena that you're looking for. If the person is either he totally has the ability to recognize the source of problems and make them vanish, and he does not need to have problems anymore, or he doesn't have that end phenomena. And there's other specific things which you could show the person. You're like, good. Do you feel like this? And the person will either say, no, I really don't feel like that, or the person can be like, yeah, no, I totally got that now. I feel totally jazzy about that. I'm a different man. And so each one of those, and the auditor is looking for things with each one of those levels. And there's other qualification staff that are there in the organization too to check up on it afterwards too. Like the auditor says, okay, good, this guy is done. He says he is done. I think he's done. Then they go, and the person goes to that next step where he basically gets checked out. Like, good, yeah, this dude is totally done. Do you think you're totally done? And the person at each one of those steps, he's shown what the end phenomena is for that level, and he gives his attestation too. Like, yep, I am down with this now. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. So there's a good bit of examination and evaluation that's done on each one of those steps to make sure the person is good, not just in the organization's estimation, but in the person's own estimation, which is really the more important one. Because the only reason why you're there anyway is to improve yourself in your own estimation. And you're not trying to be improved against somebody else's standard of smartness or goodness or morality or something like that, because you've got people who have everybody's a different person. You have people who are, Elon Musk level smart. And if the person
Mm-hmm.
says, God, I feel a lot brighter, I feel like I can pick up stuff a lot faster, you're not going to say, well, you don't seem to be as smart as Elon Musk yet, so we're going to keep you. Like it's a you want the person better and improved and happy in his own estimation. So so that's what that's about, if that answers your question.
Yes.